all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
Welcome to the No Fruit Podcast,
where we talk about our life experiences with a spiritual twist. Hosted by Maurice
and Kafa. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. I'm doing all right. How you doing, Reese?
I'm okay. How are you?
I just said I'm all right. How are you, Reese?
I'm okay. How are you?
About the same that I was when I asked you before.
Okay.
Yes. So, we're here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. You're here.
Yeah.
We're all here together.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate.
What are we celebrating?
Us being here.
Us being where?
Here.
Here where? Like in the studio, here on Earth, here in this.
All of the above. We're just going to celebrate. Just be happy.
And why would we want to do that?
Why not?
What do we have to celebrate?
Hey. Us being here.
Okay. I might not be in a celebration mood. Can't you tell?
I can't tell.
I'm not over exuberant right this second.
Well, nobody said you had to be over exuberant.
I'm not in a celebration mode.
Okay.
You're in a celebration mode?
Sure.
And that's because of what? Just you being here?
Just me. Just you being here makes me want to celebrate. You my boo thing. You make me excited. Make me want to celebrate.
Oh, really? Okay.
You don't think so?
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
So, y'all, let's no, we really are in a celebration mode. We were able to watch our son go on his prom, and he will be graduating high school, his primary high school, very shortly. We did, and this is the reason why we had a little break for a second. We experienced his secondary high school, his technical high school graduation, awards assemblies or ceremonies, to watching him record for the school play that was put on outside. And they did such a magnificent job with Lion King Jr. So there is a lot of things to be celebratory about for this season. There's a lot of my friends who's, interesting enough, I don't feel like I'm that old, but some people have their children, graduating. Well, yeah, I'm good for that. But I got a lot of people that's my age, they have their grandchildren graduating too. I'm like, from high school? Really? How old am I?
You're old.
Yo, I don't feel like I'm that old, but I will say that, as Kafa stated, let's just be happy that, one, we're able to see these opportunities of people being elevated one way or the other. With churches being shut down, we've been able to see through Facebook or other social media platforms of them being celebrated and being elevated to elder or opening their churches or whatever it might be. I think we are truly in a place where we can celebrate other people. And I think that we need to do that more often, of just celebrating each other. And we've had us personally, like I said, with our son, who we are well pleased. That's the best way to put it. In whom we're well pleased. He truly has put out a lot of effort in some things that he wanted to do. Then there are some that where we pushed him to do that he didn't put a lot of effort in, but he still excelled in. And we're blessed to have that type of individual as our child. There's some things has become effortless, but when all said and done, even though we're celebrating, the work still continues, in that. And that as the work is continuing, what and how are people being blessed in that? And I just look at a situation in the Bible where, there was this young lad who was at a wedding, and at the wedding they ran out of a particular beverage, right?
Well,
And in this particular beverage, they was like, wow, we're out. And this young lad said, why don't you go fill these things up right over here and bring them on over to me? And then, he touched it, and he brought the party back to life. So, but in that,
celebrate.
he brought the celebration back. But what I'm getting at is that even within the celebration, there is a blessing. Within the celebration, there is work being done. And within the celebration, what is going on, what's transpiring, what's transforming in this situation. So, in the very beginning of this episode, I was down and, whatever else. But once I understood the blessing of the Lord through all this, of Kafa just saying, hey, Maurice, basically you're awake, you're alive, you're on this side of, the earth, you're not underneath the ground, you're not within the dirt, but you're on top of the dirt, so that's something to be thankful for. That's something to celebrate,
Right.
And then to be alive to see all these other people celebrating their children, their grandchildren, their nieces, their nephews, stepchildren, whatever it is, we're able to celebrate a whole lot of growth.
A whole lot of change. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Yes, this is the dads and grads season here. And, we look at each other and especially around graduation time and commencement ceremonies, you look back on where you've come from and all the, as Marie said, all the things that you had to do to get to where you are, 12 years of education and here you are, or 4 years in order to get that degree. So it's interesting to look back, but I also think it's time to celebrate because I don't know about where you guys are, but a lot of things are starting to open up again. Stores and restaurants and venues are now opening up and allowing people to come inside or just do more. So we're able to do more and explore life a little bit more. And that's a reason to celebrate. I think it's also great to celebrate because, hey, the flowers are blooming. Like everything is opening up, not just the world, but the trees are blooming and everything is just kind of evolving. We talked before, I think, about your seeds that you're planting, and once they come up, then you get to look at what you have sown. So during this time of this pandemic that we had, we were kind of closed in, we were hunkered down, and we planted some seeds and we refocused and all of those things. And now we're coming out of it, and it's just a great thing to see how God is blessing and using us to bless others. So it's just a great time. As Marie said, hey, we're so, so happy to have a son that is graduating from high school, and not from just one, but he attended multiple schools. A technical school, he's graduated from that, as well as his primary school. So just so happy for that blessing, because so many people, especially young black men, unfortunately are put in some pipeline where they don't always get to that point to graduate.
And unfortunately, we can see opportunities or moments where they were ready to put him through that process. And, if it wasn't for the being diligent parents at any particular time through his, schooling, and I only can speak for myself of me sitting in the classroom with him in first grade for a couple days, when he had a situation in high school, me going and talking with the counselor and the vice principal, or that police officer in high school initially.
Even in middle school. The same thing.
Middle school, me going and talk to the vice president and vice principal, and conversing with her.
Vice president.
I don't know. I guess so. But but I just keep having these moments where I've had to, as a father, as you said, dads and grads, as a father, African American father that's out of a situation that I guess, in other ways I should not have been put in a favorable position that I've been in. It's only been by the grace of God that I'm where I am today, and being able to be there for my son to show him what it is to be a black male in America, along with being a black father figure, and being strong and diligent and working through the problems and not being angry, belligerent, or any of those things. I've tried my best to be what it is. And then, have a mother who cared for him, cried for him, mothered him, nurtured him. He's been blessed, in that. And we're talking about our son, yes, because he's graduating now. But our daughter, who graduated high school 2 years ago, yes, she's in the same boat. We've tried to do the exact same thing for both of them. We understand they're two totally different people, and they've both been through their own stuff. But but we've tried to be as consistent as possible. And when you think about any other parents within the Bible, because a lot of times they show parents or potential parents, those who may have been barren for some time, of just being faithful to the process, being faithful, being encouraged as much as they can. Because in some situations you can't be, how encouraged can you be being barren, when you want to have children yourself, but I think that we've been able to take some Bible illustrations, some Bible lessons, some, biblical parables, and been able to apply them to our lives, to get to this point of celebration. I think it, and beyond just Maurice being a great dad, and I want to say he's been a dad not only to our two children, but to those in the community. For those who don't know, I'll just tell you a little bit more about my hubby. He has been a dad, I would say, or a father figure to, as he said, he would go to the classroom and volunteer. So a lot of those individuals who didn't have dads around or didn't have a male figure in the school, he was that in some realm, whether it was a class trip and he was taking people under his wing and, hey, let's go out and
do this while we're on the class trip. Let's go get some candy and let's go do this. And so he was that great father figure for some individuals. And some of the kids, even now, I mean, they're in their 20s, late teens or in their 20s, they still like, kind of say dad, but it's Mr. Maurice, but like, that's my dad too.
Right.
You have to share him. And then outside of what he's done in the school, he's also done so much in the community when it comes to coaching football or basketball and just talking to the young kids. I think even when he wasn't a coach, and he could see how the coach was going about things, he would just pull those young people to the side and say, look, this is what the coach is trying to say. Like, he's just trying to make you better. He's trying to make the game, better for you and for the team. So he was always like, even coaching when he wasn't a coach, if you will. So he's always just had a knack for youth. Even when he was young himself, he was a parent role or a male role model, a dad role model, to other young people. So when he was a youth church leader, a lot of the young people still, like, we have one friend that works in a local supermarket, and every time we see him in the market, he's like, oh, I remember that one time when we were, at this church conference and you said this and said that, and everybody just listened to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's remarkable.
And we're talking about this guy, he's in his late 30s.
Exactly. So it's just remarkable how much of an impact Maurice has had, and he doesn't know it, but a lot of it is in that father figure role. So, accolades goes to my boo thing, my hubby, Mr. Maurice. We appreciate you for all that you have done and then all that you're going to do, how God is continuing to use you in this role, in your leadership role. And you've always had a knack and a closeness for the youth. Not the little ones. He let y'all know
I don't do babies.
He don't like babies. He doesn't do the little ones. They got to be able to talk and go to the restroom on their own. That type of an age, So he was very great with the flag football team. So what was that, 4 and 5 year olds?
Yes.
He was great. He encouraged them. Play with them, and knows them all. I was just like, how does he know all those kids' names? It's like 20, 30 of them.
Right.
He did, and they all run, Coach Maurice.
Right.
They see him in the store, on the street, whatever. And he like, hey, Johnny, hey, Bobby, hey, like, oh, my, like, he just has a great knack for that. And then also for those, as they get a little bit older, he worked with them as well. I haven't seen you work much, Reese, with, I guess, the high schoolers and the teenagers. So I don't know.
I've never really been in that. What's the best way to put it? I would say I was never really put into that role or that position. Mm-hmm. I think I have here and there where I might interact. Like, if I just say, for an example, Janae, when she was on lacrosse, would I talk to, when I go to some of the games and I'm standing there by myself or whatever, and, they're coming over or whatever, I like, hey, girls, good job or whatever, So have I had those moments? Yes. Mm-hmm. But, and you're talking about teenagers such as those where I don't know at all. Like I said, I haven't been in those positions, but, but those that I have known since they were in first, second, third grade, like you said, till now, yes. I mean, I can still work with them, talk to them or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think that I tread lightly when it comes to, a little more lightly when it comes to teenagers today.
I understand.
Because of all the other 1,000 factors in it. Right, and, in reality, I'm not, for what I would say, I'm not the biggest voice in their head. And so I'm not saying I'm trying to be the biggest voice in anybody's head overall. I just want to speak what's laid on my heart at that time, whatever God is saying to me. But I know a lot of times I I don't follow up or don't have the opportunity to follow up in certain situations. So I can come and say to them, you know what, have you considered doing this, and this? And then when I see them again, it might be another year and a half, and the opportunity might have passed.
Right.
So I have not, unless I just start giving out my phone number and say, hey, call me, what's your number? I'm going to text you, whatever. But I think sometimes that's even creepy.
Right. That opens up other
issues.
You have
So
to be very careful.
So that's why, for me, I think when it comes to the teenager piece, it's a little harder.
Right.
And when you take a look at it, even from a church perspective, and for some of the churches where we were, and teenagers were there, it was a hard situation in some of those places unless I already knew their parents.
Right.
But otherwise, if I really didn't know their parents like that for real, no, you couldn't say anything.
Right, you gotta leave it alone.
And I mean, and we had more than one occasion where we've tried to say certain things to to the kid or to the parent or something, some other situations happen, and then word got back to the parent, and the parent's all mad and upset and won't say nothing to us, but they'll go say something to the parent. Like, it'll be so many other situations, and I think that's the reason why I kind of pull back on the teenager perspective, because a lot of times with the little kids, I can talk to the little kids while their parents are right there, and we're kind of in the same mindset.
Right. And they're looking for someone to help them and
Right.
things like that. I think once you get to the teenage, you have more attitude from the parent, and sometimes
Right.
even more greater attitude from the teenager. So it's just you're pouring out, and they're not even trying to receive it. So one other thing I want to talk about, I guess, as we're talking about the churches, I know that, last month was Mother's Day, and churches go all out. They give out shout outs to the mothers. I think we had one church that gave out a rose or flowers or, whatever to every mother. Mothers are recognized. A little bit in the Bible, whatever, but most definitely in our churches today, mothers are recognized during worship service or whatever. What about dads? I mean, and let's go to graduations and graduates. Yes, the graduates are recognized as well during service. Hey, here's this person, they're graduating. They give out scholarships at church to their graduates. The graduates stand up. Sometimes they parade around. Sometimes they get to say things, depending on your church and how large it is and how many people they have graduating. But what do churches do for dads?
I don't think that. I mean, yeah, I think that's kind of hard because, it's especially when it comes to churches. One, you don't always have that many males in the church per se. One, number two, because a lot of times, this is just my own experiences that I'm leaning on right now. Number two are most of the males are in leadership roles, so they're kind of acknowledged throughout the year anyway, being a trustee, steward, deacon, annual days type vibe.
But that's that role as that person, as that elected or appointed position.
Right.
But just to be a dad, like, hey, especially if in the Bible and in our religion, we talk so much about God our Father, and it's Father this, and He's our dad, and He looks over us, and He looks after us. But what about our earthly fathers? How come in the church we don't pay more attention to those?
Yeah, that part I don't know. I mean, that's a really, really hard question to answer. But I'm going to put it in another perspective. And I really want y'all to respond. I don't want to give an answer to it, but I want to put this idea out there. And then if you can respond to it in a very biblical perspective, if you can. But overall, fathers are not respected from a worldly perspective. And the emphasis is never really on the male in that perspective. Now on the, for the day, yes, Mother's Day, can't forget about my mama, da 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 da, but when you have the males who are not present for whatever reasons, for various reasons, and let's be a little bit more positive, such as, hey, they're either in the armed forces and they out at war, or they have a job where they're not home 9 times out of 10. Right. Mm-hmm. And so and I'm just saying it from this perspective that it's only recently 30 years maybe or so where the ladies were more prevalent in that, hey, they may not be home as often because they weren't the main breadwinners, so to speak. So I'm saying 30, 40, 50 years ish, where the ladies were having more of or a bigger role in the financial aspect of the home. So I think that's why when it comes down to fathers, they're not celebrated as much because unfortunately it looks like our role is not as important, because we're doing other things. And so we're not on the day-to-day with the kids. And then, if I think about, like you said, me coaching or whatever else, there's a lot of, kids out there that were disappointed by their fathers, on various levels. And it wasn't, like I said, I was being kind by saying armed forces and having to work. But what if, the parents don't get along or, because of the weight of the world on their shoulders, they develop other type of addictions and things like that kind of pulls them away from the family. Whatever, it's so many different aspects, I think, that when it comes down to the father's piece, it's just not, there's no emphasis on it.
Right.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I don't know. That's the only thing I can say because I can't think of any churches where we really, really celebrated Father's Day like that. Mm-hmm. It was more or less Happy Father's Day and call it a day.
Right.
It wasn't, hey, we're going to have dinners downstairs or whatever else. I mean, I think one year we had like Men's Day on Father's Day.
I was going to say, I think Men's Day always fell so close to Father's Day that it kind of got overlooked or washed, as you said.
Well, the issue, so again, my church, we have Men's Day and then Children's Day, which is in June too.
Right.
So
and you have Juneteenth, and again, you have graduation.
When is Grandparents' Day? Isn't that the last Sunday in June too?
No, that's in the fall.
Oh, that's fall. Okay. It just seemed like it just always seemed like it was a whole lot kind of going on. So right. Father's Day will always get washed out.
Right.
You get what I mean?
I think for me, and things I think have changed most definitely because I'm old. But I remember in school, when you were younger, in elementary school, we would make Mother's Day cards. But because Father's Day comes so later in June, that sometimes you were in school and sometimes you weren't. So, I mean, I can look back in our memento bin and see Mother's Day cards that the kids have made, but I don't know how many Father's Day cards or projects they've made in school.
Oh, none in school. I don't have anything that says it. I mean, if I look through all my cards, all my stuff is really birthdays. Mm-hmm. I don't have anything that really says Father's Day.
Right.
I think that it's I think there's so many things that's happening at the same time. Whether it's them getting out, like, all right, let's just use this month for an example. What do we have going on that does not highlight Father's Day? Mm-hmm. You get what I mean? I'm not taking offense to it. I'm just being honest because I have put a lot of everything else ahead of me for Father's Day. There's too many other celebrations and things going on where I'm not even pressed to be celebrated. So how many other fathers, do the same thing? They're more worried about their families being happy and whatever else it might be. Mm-hmm. So
and I have to say,
I think that's why.
Growing up on my dad's side, every I want to say it was Father's Day, we had a cookout by Camden Cooper River Park. And, that was like the start of the summer type thing for us. So, and most of the time it rained, but we were still there. Yeah, and then I think, once my grandfather got older, we stopped
But
doing
see,
it.
I think that's the difference because, who was the leader of the family?
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean? You're saying your grandfather, because when I talk to you, family-wise, all you talk about is your grandfather, right? Versus on my side, and that's your dad's family.
Yes.
When you have your mother's side where, unfortunately your grandfather was not present, so everything leaned more towards Mother's Day and women's, days type vibe, right? So, same thing for me. So, when you don't have that father figure around to kind of push that vibe, if you will, then what changes? Because then now my question to you would be, if you want to use that as an example, on your father's side, did y'all even celebrate Mother's Day?
I don't recall celebrating Mother's Day.
So again, I think that's the difference.
But again, it was my dad's side, with his brothers and his father. The sisters tagged along, yes, but
but what I'm getting at is that on that particular side of the family, you had more males than females.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So you had your grandfather, you had your father with his two brothers,
yes,
but he also had two sisters. So the girls were what? Outnumbered.
Secondary, yeah.
Right, they were outnumbered. So even though the fellas had two of the fellas had girls, and one fella did have a boy, but still, and then one of the girls had a girl. So it started to kind of even out a little bit, but still, the fellas still outnumbered the ladies.
Mm-hmm.
But your leader of the family or the patriarch was really in place.
Right.
The matriarch was not.
Mm-hmm.
Versus in most other families today, it's only the matriarch. There is no patriarch.
Right.
And so ultimately, the Father's Day is pushed to the side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why Mother's Day gets so much more love, because Father's Day, the fathers are not around.
Right. Right.
So
and I think the other reason, I didn't know this growing up, but there were a lot of birthdays in June. So my uncle, my cousins, they're all born in June as well. So I think that kind of added to the Father's Day, June birthday.
Like you said, it could have been so many different things that could contribute, but I'm just going to stick with the actual father piece, being your grandfather.
Yes.
You get what I mean?
Yes.
And so as we look from a biblical perspective, just kind of, hey, like, all you really hear are the males, even though you have some ladies in there,
right?
But because it's a male dominant infrastructure.
And that's my main question. If the church is so male heavy when it comes to its leadership, when it comes to its doctrine, when it comes to, like you said, even just the verses of the Bible, hey, it's the King James version. It's not the Queen Anne, like everything is
male dominant.
Leaning more towards the male perspective, then, hey guys, like, why don't we put more emphasis on celebrating, because that's what our whole topic is today, is celebrations. Why don't we celebrate more of the importance of men and celebrate more of what men are doing? And maybe because they know that there's so many things and so many stories and so much going on with the men, from the doctrine to biblical stories or whatever, maybe that's why the women are there, or maybe that's why the women get elevated with women of the Bible and, hat parades and all those types of things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just a thought. You guys let us know what
you're thinking. Let us know what y'all think, and I know we kind of got a little deeper than
celebrating.
Yeah. And for me, I just, for you ask that question, Kafa, it's just kind of like, hey, all the, males that I know and so forth and so on, that Father's Day is really them celebrating themselves. They don't get a whole lot of celebration from the rest of the family per se, so that might consist of them, sitting down, waiting for someone to turn their water to wine, or, having a cigar, or whatever, their mode of celebration might be. But I think that overall, there's not we need to go and make, dad a cake, or we need to make him, give him dinner, or, it's not a lot of that overall, so I think that's the difference. But again, let us know what your thoughts are. And, if you're a father out there, make sure you comment on, whether it's on this episode, wherever you might be listening, on Apple Podcasts or something like that, or be sure to, comment in our social media, or email us at nofruitpodcast@gmail.com. All right, y'all. Hey, Kafa, what do we want them to do?
Maurice, we want everyone to stay fit with Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow, share, comment, and subscribe to the No Fruit Podcast.
Continue to listen to us on your favorite podcast channels.
And look for new episodes every Thursday.
We thank y'all very much for listening to us.
May God bless you all.
Peace.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.